Okay, thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a quick look at the front pages of the papers this morning, and I will begin with the Nation newspaper. And the major story here is, well, cash crunch at the top corner there. Cash crunch, CBN raises the alarm over counterfeit banknotes ahead Christmas withdrawal limits spark public frustration. And 3.4 billion Naira debt, appeal court of others marking day to pay ex-local government chiefs, slams 50 million Naira fine on Oyo governors, others. Controversy as commissioner alleges forgery of Akiri Dulu's signature. Ladies, who have what story here, or who has what story here?
So I have a story in the paper about thugs storming the Ondo College of Education. And what they were doing was that they were encroaching on their land, not just encroaching, so they're land grabbers, they're felling trees also, and they're destroying crops because it's a college of agriculture, so they use these trees in teaching the students. So now thugs have come in to take over the land. And so there was a protest by the academic staff union of the college saying that the government and the general public should please help them publicize this information, stating that before they know it, nothing will be left within the college's premises if they don't speak out about this. And that was basically what happened. But they said even as they were protesting, they still found out that they didn't stop. They were still encroaching and still doing what it was that they were doing, the thugs. And they're really calling for help to say that the Federal College of Agriculture in Akure needs urgent intervention by the government.
Well, it's quite worrisome that we're beginning to see some level of attacks on these educational structures. We remember what happened in Ogun State, even though the state is said to be at a central location point where students were seemingly victims of a gun shootout between the security personnel and some hoodlums there. But let me quickly take this story about the Kaduna bombing that happened last Sunday. Remember that Defense Headquarters had taken responsibility of that, it was an error on their part, that they had thought that the people that gathered were bandits, so to speak, because that area is notorious for bandit activities, according to them. And they had apologized, but there's been divergent reactions with regards to that apology. The government of Kaduna State is kicking against the statement made by the force headquarters as the defense headquarters. It has said that even though it's fine that they came out to own up to those activities, they are still concerned that the defense headquarters is speaking about the fact that those activities, that area is notorious for the activities of bandits, so to speak, and that also bandits infiltrate people around that area to carry out some of these nefarious activities.
It was just that attack was not on the bandits, but on
civilians, as it is. Remember, we have victims talking about the fact that one victim said he lost 34 persons in his family. Another, in the papers this morning, I saw a man that says he had a wife and 3 children. He has nothing. And now all of them all gone. As it is, the number has risen to over 100 persons that died in that incident, and the majority of them are children. Over 60 persons were said to be in the hospital. They're getting treatment, and if you look at the treatment, how it's going, because of the huge number, some of them were placed on the ground as it is to receive treatment. But it's a sad one. It's going to be 1 week tomorrow. It happened on a Sunday, but that memory, justice for these victims is what some persons have been talking about.
The president said that. I know
closure,
that
yes.
The vice president visited them, represented the president, and said that there was detailed investigation on what happened, and that there will be justice. There will be
But what would be justice as it is? You cannot bring back family members of this person.
So justice would be to find out where the misinformation came from, or how they got the misinformation.
How the error happened.
Yes.
And then bring into account the persons involved.
Yes.
That will at least bring some level of closure to these victims. Who is next?
Okay, the Ogun State government has placed a 50 million naira bounty on killers of finance director. So the Ogun State government said, this was announced by the secretary to the state government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, and this is related to the death of the director of finance attached to Governor Dapo Abiodun's office. Remember, he was, it was reported, was it last week, that he was shot when he went to cash an undisclosed amount from the bank. And 5, suspected armed robbers, shot him, and he was rushed to the hospital where he eventually died. But now there's a 50 million naira bounty for anybody who has an information on how these killers can be arrested. So if you get the newspaper, the Nation's newspaper, you'll see some phone numbers where you can send this information to.
Make some good money this season.
And also the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, said this information would be treated with utmost confidentiality. So if you know anything about it and you think you can whistle blow and get 50 million naira cool cash, get the Nation's newspaper.
And you can be rest assured that your name will be...
numbers.
Your
identity will be covered, just,
All right, let's quickly
save
go
the community.
on a break. When we return, we'll continue looking through the newspaper headlines. Stay with us. We're still looking through the newspapers, and talk about you have a story.
Yes, I want to take the story about the cash crunch. So the CBN has expressed concern over the fact that as a result of the cash crunch, we're now having counterfeits, counterfeit currencies infiltrating the markets, and they're saying that people should be aware that there's a penalty, that it is a serious offense. You will have 5 years imprisonment if you're found falsifying or circulating bad notes. I mean, counterfeit notes. So when they said 5 years, my worry is, if you are a victim, how do you prove that you got the fake notes? They also said that because of the challenge of cash, there's no liquidity, we don't have cash right now, that the banks have made a policy that they can only give 50,000 naira. That's from the CBN to 100,000 naira across the counters daily. People will be happy if they can get 50 to 100,000 naira.
In cases of emergency,
they're not even getting 10,000. Like somebody said, he barely got 10,000 naira. He was only able to withdraw 10,000 naira after being in the bank for an hour. Somebody in Port Harcourt also said the same thing about the fact that he was able to withdraw. They said he could get 50,000 naira, and he has a business that requires cash, and he had to spend over an hour in the bank to get that 50,000 naira. This is someone from Enugu. They also mentioned that some people, business owners now in Port Harcourt, are not even depositing their money in the bank because they don't want what happened in February to happen to them. So when they are doing their sales, the bank needs money to come in and go out. So the money is not coming in.
Not coming in.
So the bank has no money to go out. Business owners are sitting on their money, keeping it inside their house, because they don't want, when they want to make they want to make purchases, and this is the season where cash needs to move in and out. They are unable to get cash to buy. So POS operators are saying they are having to buy money. We're back there. They are buying money from attendants at the filling station to be able to run their business. So we're getting back into what happened. This is Christmas. We shouldn't do ourselves.
The federal government had mentioned that both old and the redesigned notes are legal tender.
It's not even about that anymore.
No, it's about that, because the government has said that people do not trust the system. They still feel that, because there was a ruling by the courts initially that by, I think, December 31st, that the old notes will no longer be a legal tender. But the federal government has come out to say that it still remains a legal tender even after December the 31st. So it's a matter of trust. The government may be saying their own. The reality might just be different. So let's just hold our money and see what happens.
Even the new notes,
everybody online banking.
Even felt it.
Yes, I haven't.
Because you can easily make transfers, but not everybody.
Yes.
So not everybody can do that.
When it happened, it touched me.
Let's quickly make good use of our time. Right. Let me move now to Saturday Punch. And the major story here says families face bleak Yuletide over rising food prices, fares, others. 50 ladies showed interest in me after searching for love online. Polio survivor is saying this. Blighted by deadly superstition, children accused of witchcraft suffer shame, abandoned by families. Entertainers with failed marriages still admired by many. Ogun Finance director wife ended 3-day fast the day he was killed. The brother is saying this. It looked like end of the world had come. Kaduna bombing survivors are speaking. Who has what story? Quickly.
So I have this story of a missing Niger lady found in orphanage. And so this resident of Boso Estate in Mina, in Niger State, was declared missing by the police. And upon investigation, they found out that she had a misunderstanding with her family. And rather than settling the misunderstanding, she ran away and went to an orphanage. And so the family didn't know where she was. And it was after the police had put out a report saying that this person is missing, the orphanage now came out to say that this person, she's with us, and you can come and have her back, right? And this story seems funny because family members would always have misunderstandings, right? And as a child, it never crossed my mind to go to an orphanage. You would just worry, is this person really my mother? Is this person really my father? But you would never have thought of doing that. So I think it's just really amazing to see the way that the young generation are thinking now, thinking that they can just find an escape route
somewhere else. Okay, let me just quickly take this story. Families face bleak Yuletide over rising food prices, fares, others. So it's a collection of the reaction of persons towards the Yuletide season. Leading up to Christmas, a lot of persons have said that they can't smell Christmas in the air, as we often say. And so there are those families who say that because of the transportation fare increase, they can no longer travel. For instance, for most of the transport companies in Djibouti, for instance, the average fare to East hovers between 20,000 and 28,000 naira. So if you are a family of 4, for instance, how are you going to handle that? And then we talked about the businesses suffering. We've been talking about cash crunch just not too long ago. And then some persons are not making as much sales as they used to over the years because people are cutting costs as it is. If we don't need it, if we can do without it, if we can survive without it, then, or if we can find a cheaper alternative, then there's no need for it. And so there's also the matter of food prices soaring. It's become a huge challenge. Now, for instance, a bag of rice is reportedly selling around 55,000 naira as against what it used to be around 48,000 naira in October. So it has increased. And that brings me to a conversation around that was put together by Consumer Advocacy and Empowerment Foundation. They put together a survey where they said that weak competition may be what is causing unfair food prices for consumers in Nigeria, especially for staples like rice, gari, and some other issues, and the government should look critically into it. So I'm hoping that government takes action as it is with regards to these things. We are seeing businesses leaving the country. P&G left the country now, and they are saying Nigeria will become an import base, so to speak, for them. So we must look into these matters because, as it is, Christmas may not be the Christmas we used to know.
We shall still Christmas like that.
Not everybody does. Yes,
some people will travel,
but they can't buy Christmas clothes for some persons.
Despite, as the reality of people is harsher times, we are having funny political stories that refuse to die in places like Ondo State, where the citizens are having to deal with the fact that the governor hasn't been in the state for a long time.
Because of his health?
Yes, in Oyo State. And a commissioner has said that he found falsified forgery.
The signature was
the signature of the governor was forged, that he saw the irregularity. The SGF sent him the information that there's an irregularity, and he went through to confirm that the people are trying to use the governor's ill health to siphon funds. You see, the thing is, it's so sad. And the Commissioner for Information was saying, the commissioner actually is the Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Razak Obe. He said he sent a letter to the Deputy Governor to explain that he found forgery, but even though he found that he found the forgery, he's not going to explain to media. Let the Deputy Governor
Let them do the
whatever he wants to
investigation.
do. The Commissioner for Information in Ondo State said the governor is not going to resign. He's still is recuperating, but he's not incapable of doing his job because he's just not attending parties.
Okay, Damola, quickly, because we need to wrap up.
A truck rammed into the K2 Alakbere Bridge on Thursday/Friday, but thankfully no deaths were recorded. But 3 men sustained injuries and they've been taken to the hospital. And according to the special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Transportation, Mr. Shola Giwa, he said that 10 of the trucks had successfully maneuvered their way, but the 11th one, due to the driver's impatience to safely pass under the bridge, the height of the container it was carrying rammed into the bridge and damaged it. But thankfully, I'm quite impressed by how the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency responded to it. LASMA, the police, they all came together to ensure that the debris and the falling bridge was
And they can also allow easy flow of traffic.
Morning.
In fact,
The next day. It happened at night.
It happened at night.
And in the morning the next day, it was cleared out. There was still a bit of traffic because the roads were not so smooth. But I came in yesterday around like 9, and the entire area was completely cleared for the extent of what happened. Lagos State deserves to be applauded.
Commended. Yes.
I saw them on my way, they were still
Kudos to Lagos State. Right. Lagos is working.
But suppose show the video of Ogba. That one is not looking good in Lagos State.
Anyway, we have to wrap things up here with regards to the newspaper headlines. We will go on a short break now. When we return, we'll move to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.